Now, our next guest is a man who needs no introduction, but I'm just going to go ahead and do one. He is a long-standing figure in the gaming community. He just recently started a company called Boss Key Productions, working on a title called Project BlueStreak. Join me in welcoming Cliff Bleszinski. Welcome.
What's up, man? Good to see you.
Thanks so much for coming out.
I like your butt divot.
Oh, I know, this is for you. This has some of the best professionals in the industry have all sat in this exact spot.
It's still warm, actually. It's quite nice.
It was warm for everyone except John Gibson, who started the day off, but continuing strong.
He powers through, you know.
So I want to talk a little bit about your break from game development, what it was like looking at all the trends that were emerging.
I had fun during the time period I had off, right? I mean, I'm not going to lie, you know, hanging out reading books by a pool is a lot of fun, but honestly, I got really bored. And I saw other people announcing their games, I saw trailers, I saw interviews, and I'm like, I miss this stuff. I miss being a part of it. And that was honestly after 6 months. So basically it was not working for a year and a half. It took nearly a year to kind of figure out who the proper partner would be to actually launch the studio and make something really, really cool with Nexon.
And I mean, you saw so much stuff go on in that period. I mean, now we have VR, we have early access, we have, you know, the sort of indie renaissance.
Yep.
I mean, are there just always game ideas pouring out? Are there specific ones that when you looked at the market, you said, this is what I want to work on? Well,
for me, I wanted to get back to first person. I mean, I'd worked on Gears for so long, and Gears is, of course, third person, and that remake looks great. Good job, Rod. And it's one of those things that, you know, seeing down the barrel of the gun, you know, it's a very, very powerful thing.
Very visceral.
And, you know, I find that with the kind of game we're making right now, you know, there's so much more room for unique weaponry in a first-person shooter that's not just a shotgun or an AR-15 or a rocket launcher. There's a lot of unique twists you can do in the sci-fi space that kind of really make things really interesting and unique.
And in terms of the gameplay, I mean, with Project BlueStreak having, you know, multiplayer focus component to it, I mean, how does that design experience factor in?
Here's the funny thing, right? We're finding, I turned 40 this year, right? I can't aim as well as I used to. I play CSGO and I get my ass handed to me in the pubs. It's horrible, it's just bad. So what we're finding is the older studio members were making characters and weapons that are easier for them that they can't aim. So it's more like area of effect type weapons, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the younger folks in the studio who are, you know, 20s and whatnot, interns, and they just cream everybody with the high precision weaponry in the game.
So, I mean, we see so many shooting games coming out right now, like Overwatch, like Gigantic, that we've got the chance to see earlier today. I mean, what does it feel like to see so many games coming out with kind of a similar idea?
Well, I think it turns out that, like, when I had the idea a year and a half ago to make a small to medium-sized studio with, you know, 5v5 for a multiplayer game, I was not the only person who had that idea. So we're actually happy that there's games like that, Overwatch and Gigantic out there, so we can actually look at what they're doing and specifically say, let's not go in that direction. You know, there's some overlap of, you know, Venn diagram of weaponry or characters and things like that, but just art style alone, we're going for something that's a little bit more realistic. If you look at, like, you know, Gigantic's over here, and, you know, kind of have that League of Legends, like, kind of very colorful look, and you have your depressing kind of dark Killzone-y Gears environment over here. We think there's like a halfway point where we can be at, where we kind of, you know, get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about CSGO. Are there other shooters from the multiplayer experience that you really take inspiration from? Like, what are some of the things you're really trying to capture for the multiplayer player?
The one that just, for some reason, CSGO is all I want to play lately. Like, Counter-Strike to me is still the most airtight first-person shooter I have ever played. And when you look at the skill level of some of the players on those servers, they are just second to none.
Insane.
I mean, you're jumping through the little crack and somebody ops you in the midair, right? And like the headshots that everyone pulls off. And it's one of those games that every time I play it, I get a few more kills and I get better and better at it. Yeah. And that's really what I'm gunning for, is the kind of thing that's easy to learn, lifetime to master. When you see, you know, I always joke, I can go in, you know, my driveway and shoot a few hoops, but what separates me from LeBron is insane. So, you know, a person playing this game at the peak of their skill level who's truly mastered it after potentially thousands of hours is going to look like a god.
And when you explore these sorts of highly skill-based mechanics, are you looking for esports to be a sort of trajectory in? Because I mean, that's really where CS has been capturing so much.
Esports is one of those buzzwords that everyone just slings around, but they forget that
I'm slinging it around. It's a great buzzword.
Just sling it. It's like Counter-Strike's been around for quite some time, right? And like, in order to make a game an esport, you have to really make something that's skill-based, that has an amazing community, respect that community, and work with the community to build up to actually hopefully have people play the game professionally, and, you know, sometimes make more money than the developers.
And I mean, a lot of people know you from your work with console gaming, but why PC? Why the PC platform for the PC community?
The beauty of the PC, and this isn't to slag anything about consoles, because maybe the game could come to consoles eventually, leading with PC first and foremost allows us to be agile. We can get a version out there, potentially early access. We can have iteration, have test kitchen servers where you can try out new weapons, some white box maps, and continue to work with the community on a rapid basis. That's one of the many things the PC gets us. Also, keyboard and mouse, man. I love my console shooters, but keyboard and mouse for first-person shooters is still the best way to go. It's the only way to go.
Cliff, let me say thank you so much for developing for the PC. If only everyone did that, and I am talking to you, Bloodborne. Cliff,
it's good to be back.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Ladies and gentlemen, Cliff Bleszinski from Project BlueStreak.